Welcome to Mr. Horror. Are you ready to hear some spine-chilling true stories? Today we're bringing you 3 terrifying tales of horror that took place within the walls of supermarkets. Get ready to be spooked as we recount these bone-chilling incidents. Janet had been working the night shift at the local supermarket for about 2 weeks now. She thought it was going to be a straightforward job, stocking shelves and checking out customers. But something strange was going on in the store. It all started when she heard strange noises coming from the storage room. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, but the sounds became louder and more frequent each night. One night, when she was taking a break, she decided to investigate. As she approached the storage room, she heard someone whispering. She tried to ignore it, thinking it was just her imagination playing tricks on her, but as she got closer, she realized the whispers were real. The next night, Janet brought a flashlight with her. She was determined to find out what was making those strange noises. As she approached the storage room, the whispers became louder and more intense. She slowly opened the door, and to her horror, she saw a figure dressed in black standing in the corner. She froze in fear, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, the figure turned around and started running towards her. Janet ran out of the storage room and locked the door behind her. She was shaking and couldn't believe what she had just seen. The next day, Janet told her supervisor about what had happened, but he didn't believe her. He thought she was just tired from working the night shift. That night, when Janet was alone in the store, she heard the whispers again. She tried to ignore them, but they grew louder and more intense. Suddenly, she felt something grab her from behind. She turned around, but there was no one there. She tried to run, but she couldn't move. It was like something was holding her down. The whispers grew louder, and she heard a voice say, "You should have never come here." Janet never returned to the supermarket after that night, and no one knows what happened to her. Working the overnight shift at a supermarket was never anyone's first choice, but for me, it was the only option. As the night manager, I was responsible for overseeing the stocking and maintenance of the store while ensuring the safety of my employees. One night, I was doing my usual rounds when I noticed a woman standing motionless at the end of one of the aisles. She wore a tattered dress and her hair was unkempt. I approached her, thinking she might be lost, but as I got closer, I could see that her eyes were glazed over and her skin was a sickly pale. Suddenly, she lunged towards me, her mouth open wide in a silent scream. I stumbled back in shock, but she quickly retreated back into the shadows. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about her, but I chalked it up to exhaustion. The next night, I encountered her again, but this time she was closer. I could smell her foul breath as she rasped, "Help me," before disappearing once more. I knew I couldn't ignore this any longer. I asked my staff if they had seen anything strange, but they all looked at me as if I were crazy. Determined to get to the bottom of this, I decided to do some investigating of my own. After hours of searching, I finally stumbled upon a hidden door in the back of the store. It was locked, but I managed to pry it open. What I found was a nightmare. The room was filled with cages, each holding a different person, all of them pale and gaunt. They were barely alive, but they stared at me with desperate eyes, pleading for help. I quickly called the police, but as soon as I hung up, I heard footsteps coming from behind me. It was the woman from before, except now she was flanked by 2 men in black suits. "Did you really think you could stop us?" she hissed as the men moved to restrain me. I struggled, but it was no use. They dragged me down a dark hallway and into a room filled with strange machinery. I didn't know what they were planning, but I knew it couldn't be good. I was strapped to a table, surrounded by the same machines I had seen before. The woman and the 2 men stood over me, cackling as they prepared to perform some sort of twisted experiment. Just as they were about to begin, the police burst in, guns drawn. The woman and her accomplices scrambled to escape, but the police were too quick. They were arrested, and I was rushed to the hospital for treatment. I never did find out what they were trying to accomplish, but I knew it was something sinister. After that night, I quit my job at the supermarket and never looked back. The memory of those pale, desperate faces still haunts me to this day. It was late at night, and Sarah was in a hurry to grab some groceries before the supermarket closed. As she was walking down one of the aisles, she noticed the janitor, a tall, creepy-looking man, staring at her intently. She quickly finished her shopping and made her way to the checkout. But as she was about to pay, she realized her wallet was missing. Panicking, she searched her pockets and purse, but it was nowhere to be found. Suddenly, she heard a voice behind her. "You dropped this," said the janitor, handing her wallet. She grabbed it quickly and made her way out of the supermarket, feeling uneasy. But as she looked back, she noticed the janitor was still staring at her. The next day, Sarah went back to the supermarket to do some more shopping. As she was walking down one of the aisles, she noticed that there were no customers in the store except for herself. She thought it was strange, but she continued to shop. As she made her way to the checkout, she noticed that the cashier was nowhere to be found. She waited for a few minutes, but no one came. That's when she realized that something was wrong. She walked around the store, calling out for help, but no one answered. It was as if everyone had vanished into thin air. Days went by, and the disappearance of the customers and the cashier remained a mystery. Sarah couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off about the supermarket. She decided to do some research and found out that the supermarket had a dark history. It was built on the site of an old mental hospital, and there were rumors of strange occurrences in the store. One night, Sarah decided to investigate the supermarket herself. As she walked down one of the aisles, she heard strange whispers coming from the shelves. She turned around, but there was no one there. She continued walking, and the whispers grew louder. Suddenly, she saw a figure in the distance. It was the creepy janitor, and he was holding a knife. She ran as fast as she could, but she couldn't escape him. He cornered her in the aisle and raised the knife. But just as he was about to strike, the figure disappeared into thin air. Sarah was never able to explain what happened that night, but she never went back to the haunted supermarket again. Thank you for watching this video on true scary supermarket horror stories. As you have heard, supermarkets can be a place of unexpected danger and terror. From creepy encounters with strange individuals to unexplainable occurrences, it's clear that supermarkets can be more than just a place to grab groceries. It's important to always be aware of your surroundings and stay alert when shopping, especially when alone. Don't ignore your gut feeling if something feels off, and always trust your instincts. Remember, these stories are based on real events and can happen to anyone. So, next time you're shopping, keep your eyes open and be careful. You never know what may be lurking in the aisles. We want to hear from you, our horror-loving audience. Do you have a scary story from a supermarket that you want to share? Maybe you saw something that you couldn't explain or experienced a chilling encounter with a stranger. Whatever it is, we want to know. You can share also a whole different story, of course. Leave your story in the comments below and we may feature it in our next video. We love hearing from our viewers and sharing your spooky experiences with the world. Don't be shy, even if you think your story is too small or insignificant, share it with us. Who knows, it may be the inspiration for our next big horror hit. So, grab a pen and paper and start writing. We can't wait to read your stories. Thank you for joining me for these spine-chilling tales. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that bell to be notified of new scary stories. Stay safe out there, and until next time, beware of the supermarket.